I'm Christine Payard. I'm the Director of Integrating Thinking, a neurodevelopmental education and training consultancy in Cairns, Far North Queensland. Today, I want to invite you to join me in an excerpt of a long conversation that I had with two of my colleagues who are also classroom-based teachers. Carleen Haylock and Suzanne have come to this body-to-brain approach of learning and have incorporated it into their practice and professional approach with children in their classrooms and within their school. And that has yielded wonderful results. Results for them professionally, giving them huge professional satisfaction, but also having huge impacts on children's learning because it's helped them to understand how their students learn more effectively and respond more quickly to the needs of their students. In today's excerpt, Carleen and Suzanne tell you what brought them to this work, what was missing in their toolbox that they needed to attend to. What I'd like to do, like I said, when I was speaking to a friend of mine who's recently become a principal, and she said, I'd like to hear some stories of what other people experience. And I thought, well, I know the right people to talk to. I think one of the important things that we tend to underestimate about this program is how it impacts your life as a teacher.
Yep.
And I guess I want to touch on that because it's my belief that it actually makes your life a little bit easier because of your classroom management issues and things like that. But that's my belief. I want to get the story from you. So I know for both of you, I've heard your stories personally that what sort of triggered the thinking for you to actually pursue this body work, looking at the neuromotor maturity and the sensory maturity. As teachers, what was it that actually, what was missing? Why did you start looking at this sort of stuff?
Sure. Who do you want to go first?
Well, you started speaking, Carleen.
I've got to learn this.
No, I don't want you to. Cool.
My aha moment was when I was in third term. I had prep students, and it was about third term, and I still had students that weren't school ready. And I was having that question of why have I got this cohort of children? Is it only this cohort of children, or is this something that we're seeing across the whole school, the whole schools around Victoria at that particular time, or is it nationally? I was fortunate to have an OT come into the school to do some of the programs that we were doing, and I was asking that question, and she was saying, no, we're seeing this across all students. So my question was, okay, why are we having that? Then after having that conversation, my personal story was my daughter, who was 16 at that stage. We went and she had an appointment with a chiropractor who's now a really good friend of ours. And I was sort of saying to her, she's a brilliant student in all areas except for spelling, and it has been holding her back in her academic achievements. This particular friend said to me, well, let's assess her for an ATNR. Well, that was like a light bulb. And then I went, well, what's an ATNR? She then showed me this book, which is why it led me to you, Christine, because then I had to do my research on what IMPP was. And then that took me over to the UK, and I thought surely there must be someone running this program in Australia, and that's how I found you, Christine, and that's where that first email came from. So my aha moment was that I was standing in front of these students.
How old were they, Carleen?
At that particular time, they were 6 going into 7 years of age.
Okay. Yep.
And then I was looking in all the other classrooms, and what I was sort of seeing in my classrooms, I was also seeing replicant in other classrooms, even up to our grade 6 students as well. I thought, right, I need to do a little bit more research on what these primitive reflexes are and how that is impacting our students to shine, to be their best. Yep. So once I understood what I was sort of looking for, I thought, right, I need to do some professional development on that. And that's, as I said, Christine, that's when I first contacted you.
Yep.
To say, I'm really interested in if there's some professional development in there. And subsequently, since doing that, it has changed our whole school. It's just changed our whole school.
Okay. There's a lot of power in what you've just said, and I want to come back to that. Yeah. So when you mentioned that the kids weren't ready for school, Suzanne, I know this is something that you've talked about, and you teach prep kids. So what do we mean by kids aren't ready for school? What are we looking for, and what isn't happening there, Suzanne? Was this a similar story for you?
It was a similar story. I think that our kids, the way that our program is delivered, a lot of them, they need to be able to sit still. They need to be able to focus their attention. And whether I believe that that's the right age group for doing that or not, it's the way that we have to present stuff. And my aha moment was when I was at the workshop with you in Bundaberg, and you said that you described the child, and you were describing the child that was in my class at the time. He stands up because he's heard something outside. He looks out the window, and when he looks, his arm flays out the side and he hits the kid beside him. And then the teachers say, sit down. And when he sits down, he knocks somebody else because his leg's going one way and his arm's going out. That was my aha moment. Like, this is really something, again, like Carleen, I need to investigate further, because you're just describing all of my kids. And I remember actually saying to you at the time, if we have children in our class that you're describing, what can we do? And at the time, there was nobody around that could actually help. And I thought, maybe this is something that I can get into. So,
Yep. Yeah, that's right. Do you think that presence, that readiness for schooling, that prevalence, or that they're mucking around a bit more, or that they're not ready for school, do you think that that's increasing, that intensity of lack of readiness for kids at school?
I can see it every year. Every year, that readiness is getting larger and larger, that they're not ready. They're not coping. Yeah.
That level of non-readiness for school. And because, like what you were saying, Susan, our curriculum is so based on our students sitting still, and they're just not ready. Their bodies aren't ready for that.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. So there's twofold issues here then. There's the kids are coming into the classroom less ready for academic learning and less well prepared for that, because we have expectations for their behaviour and for their learning capacity and things like that. But we also have the top-down pressure as teachers that says we have to get these kids reading earlier. We have to get them performing academically much earlier. And that pressure is actually putting pressure on you as teachers. When you're sitting there and you're recognising these kids that aren't school ready, what is it within your toolbox that you sort of felt that you were missing? Suzanne, I might start with you with that one.
Yeah, I was just thinking about this. Like, when I went through Teachers College, I actually did an early childhood degree, like the 4th year. But I don't know whether I was prepared enough. My sister did an early childhood degree as well, and the two of us taught together for 6 years, which was awesome. But she just knew so much more than I did, like tummy boards when we had our gross motor outside, and I would be forever asking her, why are these tummy boards so good? And she would explain things like, it's building up the strength in the upper body so that they would be able to sit and hold a pencil. And I don't think I got any of that sort of knowledge through university, like through any of that stuff. I think that's something that's missing in our teacher training, because I never knew the connection between the body and the brain. Like, and I'd picked up things like that from Jodie, like the gross motor skills. I didn't realised that there was a connection with the fine motor skills till I've done the course. I didn't realise like the eyes, how important the eyes are. Like, we've always been told that if you have a child that you want to investigate for further like support, the first thing they have to do is have their vision and their hearing tested. But I didn't understand why. And then if they go to somebody like a pediatrician, then the pediatrician writes all this stuff in my reports that says, you know, preterm or early baby or overweight or whatever. And I didn't know that that was so important. So all of these things that have just made sense to me.
Yep.
I'm not sure whether I just answered your question or not, but
Well, I think you did. I think you have. And from my perspective, and you've heard me saying there's lots of times in our teacher education courses in particular, we look at sociology, we look at psychology, but we don't actually look at the physiology of learning, and we learn with our bodies. But and that, for me, in my teacher education and in where my professional path has taken me, that's the thing that I believe is missing. But
yeah, definitely.
Carleen, what was missing from your toolbox?
Oh, exactly. Some great points that Susan sort of made, that after all the assessments that we have that are, you know, come in every year, you know, the vision test or hearing test or speech pathology, all of that, I was still seeing students still struggling in their classroom. You know, if we, you know, we would get some recommendations, okay, well, move the child further up to the whiteboard or have them sitting by themselves and all this, and I'm still saying, yeah, but there's still something not right. And even with my teacher training, you know, my major was in physical education, so I understood a little bit about that physiology and all that, but still something wasn't gelling with me. I'm thinking there's still a missing piece to this particular puzzle. And then also that, you know, I was seeing, you know, that these students that would have their legs wrapped around the chairs and they couldn't literally sit in a chair, or their pencil was, you know, had the death grip on this pencil. I'm still saying, what is it? What is it? So I'm thinking there's still something missing in my toolbox. And it was, like I said, it was not until I had this original conversation, I then spoke to the professionals that I was dealing in my network, and then I realised, okay, we're going about teaching our students wrong. I just felt that the whole system is wrong, and hence that's my soapbox, trying to fix this system. And it was really interesting. I'll just pick up at a point. I was invited to go and speak to the fourth year students at our university here at Federation Uni last year. Mm. I thought I was only going to speak for an hour. I spent 3 hours with these students, and they were about to go into our system, into our school system, and everyone, 100% of them said, "Why isn't this part of our learning? We need to know this." So it's not just us that have completed the training. Our graduate teachers are begging for this type of information, and how great would it be that we've got these graduate teachers with that in their toolbox. And I see it within my school now, that the graduates have got this information now, and what they're actually able to do in their classrooms for those students that are normally the strugglers. They're the ones that are struggling, and that we're not, we were having that conversation today, that we're now not spending, and I may be answering one of your other questions here, Chris, we're not spending as much time on that lower echelon of students. So we can then start working more efficiently in our classrooms with those students that are in that middle, that normally fly under the radar, or be able to extend our higher students because of our classroom management now, because it's like we just don't have that in our classes now. So
that's pretty big. That's pretty big stuff.
Oh,
So
it's massive.
what you're saying is it's actually freed you from classroom management stuff. It's helped organise your classrooms better. Am I?
Yeah. And you know, if we're looking at that interpersonal skills, the behavioural management, we just don't see the issues that other schools do, and it's only because, you know, we've been doing this for 2.5, nearly 3 years now, and it's only until we go and visit other schools and we go, oh wow, we don't have that. We don't have that in our schools, or our students can self-regulate themselves so much quicker, and we go, oh, and we just find it, well, that's just our school, that's just the norm. But then when we've been talking about it as colleagues, we've all come back to go, okay, we've got this particular program in schools, other schools don't. So it has freed our teachers to be able to teach.
Well, wasn't that interesting? I hope you enjoyed that last 15 minutes finding out a little bit more about what brought Carleen and Suzanne to this body to brain work. They also told you a little bit about the results. In the next excerpt that I present to you, we'll find out a little bit more about how it works within their schools and some of the other results that they've experienced. Thanks for joining in. My name's Chris Payard. I'm from Integrating Thinking. Thanks to Carleen Haylock and Suzanne Harding for their contributions to this discussion. If you'd like to know more about our professional learning development series and training opportunities, you can find more information on our Body to Brain Learning website, that's bodytobrainlearning.com, or our Integrating Thinking website, that's integratingthinking.com.au.